All right. Hi, everyone. Good evening, good day, good afternoon. And today, hope you are having a great week and learning CICD on GCP. Thanks again to GDG Cloud Nantes and Abidjan for having me as a speaker. I would love to share some insights, some thoughts around, how we can do a lot of things around CICD on GCP. And specifically, this talk is going to be not just CI/CD portion, but today we are going to focus a bit around Cloud Deploy, which is a popular product that has come up, or a popular service specifically for deployment on GKE. Now, why that is required, what are the deployment strategies that you can do with it, is something that we will see in today's slides or the talk. Okay, so just a few things about me. I know Julian introduced me, but just a word. I'm Dharmesh. I kind of I'm a senior solutions architect into the cloud space. I work at an organization called L&T Infotech. I'm also a Google developer expert, a champion innovator, and I also manage the GDG Cloud Mumbai chapter as well. So yeah, looking forward for some other collaborations in future as well by the cloud chapters. Again, as Julian mentioned, a quick note: if you have questions, please do post it on the chat and try to be on mute. Uh, just a hygiene check. I'll be happy to take your questions at the end. Okay, so let us start by understanding what exactly does CI/CD mean when it comes to cloud platform. So the whole definition of CI/CD, it's all about automation, right? So when we say you want to do CI/CD, so the first point over here that needs to happen is the fact that you'll need to understand, okay, where is your code coming from? Is your code repo able to integrate that? So first is your plan. Okay, how do you start your coding? Just a quick refresher of what CI/CD means, because we'll be laying emphasis today on CD portion of it and not the CI part of it. So it's very clear, very important that we kind of make this definition very clear. So the CI portion takes care of the build aspect. So if there is an application, if there is a Java application, a React application, a .NET application, the whole concept around building that application, whether you want to package that as a jar file, as a Docker container, or any specific format that the coding language supports, right? That packaging piece, or that build piece, or the compilation piece, is the responsibility of CI piece. That is the continuous integration part. Now, of course, why you need continuous integration? Because as soon as you check in your code, you want it to be built faster, and you want it to also deploy that. Now, the deployment part of it is between build and deploy, there is a phase of testing. Okay, so there can be various quality gates that you can integrate. So for example, if you want to do something like a code quality check, like a sonar cube integration, that is something that you can do in your CI/CD step. But the delivery piece, which is the continuous delivery, as soon as your build is ready, you should be ready to kind of deploy that to any form of infrastructure. Now that infrastructure, if we talk in terms of like GCP, it can be a compute engine, it can be an app engine, it can be Cloud Run, it can be GKE, anything, right? So anywhere where your code can potentially be deployed. Okay, that is exactly the CD piece that we want to solve for. So, and also, like, you want to tag it, you want to release it, and then after that it's more about operations. So whether your application is healthy, whether you want to roll back, whether you want to redeploy due to some reason, and so on. So that all comes under the operation aspect of it. So the whole point over here which I'm trying to make is the difference between CI and CD, so that we understand in the whole DevOps lifecycle, especially when it comes to any public cloud platform, we are very clear on the services that should be used at each stage. So for example, if we talk of GCP, the cloud build is a product or a service, okay, which will help you do the CI as well as the CD stage. But the CI is actually can be outside of it, whether you want to do it on a Dockerized manner or not. It really depends how your code is kind of shaped up or what technology you are using. However, now a specific challenge comes when you want to use or you want to deploy it on a Kubernetes platform. Okay. Now, the whole fundamental thing out here is that in Kubernetes, there are several clusters available. We won't get into the 101s of Kubernetes, but just at a higher level, we'll try to see why exactly you need a specific solution or a specific product when it comes to managing deployments on Kubernetes based environments. So that is exactly the theme of this talk. Now, if I have to kind of share, right, what is a standard CI/CD process flow and where does cloud build fit into the picture? Okay, this is exactly the slide that will kind of give you this indication. So, like, I mean, a standard developer flow, they would go ahead and change the code, they commit it to their app repository. After that, cloud build, okay, is kind of then responsible to detect a new commit or a new push to the repo. Okay, it then runs any unit test that it needs to do, builds the container image, and then pushes the container image into a artifact repository. Now here, in case of GCP, it can be the GCR. Okay, so that is something that we can natively use. And now again, here we are coming to the fact that how does this happen for a Kubernetes based workload? So here the manifest files are kind of updated. Okay, and this manifest change is again detected. Now who is responsible to kind of detect this change? Cloud build can do it. Okay, apply these manifests into Kubernetes and then deploy it to the production branch. However, it is not as simple as saying that the change is detected and you push it. There can be various approval stages required. You want to do it in a multi-cluster format, you want to do it into a multi-branched pipeline. That is something where cloud build might not directly be helpful. Yes, it will help you build it, but when it comes to the deployment part of it, you really need cloud deploy over here, and we'll exactly see why in the next few slides. Again, this is just a re-emphasis of some of the previous thoughts which I was sharing. Okay, where from the source you generate an image, which can be your container image, okay, which is the CI piece of it. And if you want to render it and deploy, so when I say render, it's basically deploying the built image. Okay, so here you are kind of deploying it. Okay, into the specific environment. There can be progressions or promotions from lower environments to higher environments. So that is exactly the delivery part or the CD piece, and that's exactly what we are going to focus today. So one way like to kind of do that, if it is was like as simple as just using cloud build and container registry. If specifically if I'm talking of cloud run, you might have seen in the previous talks that if you want to deploy it on cloud run, it is very simple. You just kind of push your code, your cloud build YAML file would be available, and you kind of take care of it kind of takes care of the deployment. And likewise, you can do a traffic splitting or a load balancing as well. But in case of GKE, there are specific challenges which we want to address. So what are these challenges, or rather why it is required? So first of all, let us understand some context to that, which is the deployment strategies. What are the different deployment strategies that traditionally any application might want to apply or implement? And specifically if we talk of modernized workloads, right, in terms of microservices and all, okay, three major patterns have like kind of evolved. Okay, one is a recreate, second is a canary deployment, which can also give you a facilitation of A/B testing, and the third one is a blue green deployment, wherein you switch between the two environments, and some of them also kind of apply that or call that as a rainbow deployment as well. I have seen that in some organizations. Now what happens in recreate? Let's just try to understand over here. So a very simple concept, okay, of recreate: you terminate one version, okay, and create the other version. So it's very easy to set up. The application state is like totally renewed, okay, and only the internal services that are available, only those will be kind of applied. So you don't need to kind of manage like how you kind of switch from one to other. It's a total recreation of one environment, and a total termination of the other environment. But it has disadvantages, okay, where you can expect some downtime over here. So that is one drawback that you see, as well as sometimes managing these versions, and the load balancing or the networking piece over here sometimes causes a challenge out here when it comes to live deployments or hot deployments. So recreate sorry recreate might not really be an ideal option. It is okay when you don't have very high volume workloads. You can use this, and your deployment frequency is not that often. You can try to use this. So it's the most simplest way to kind of do the deployment. The second one is canary deployment. Okay, so here both the clusters are up. Okay, both the versions of the application are up. However, you do a traffic splitting over here, which means that both the versions are available up and running. Okay, for a small subset of users, okay, you start redirecting them to the version 2, which is the updated version. Now in this case, you might encounter any performance issues or functional issues in the application, and you might want to totally kill the version 2 or the upgraded version. So that is why this kind of a thing can also be used for A/B testing as well. So here you're only releasing it to a small subset of users. It is convenient because you easily get if there is any error rate or performance issues, you kind of easily come to know very quickly in the life cycle, and it is like a very quick rollout as such. However, it is slow because you gradually roll it out to the total user base. You don't roll out totally to the all the 100%. You gradually roll them out, like say first you do a 10%, then maybe a 20, then 50, and then you do 100. So it might take a while, okay, for your application to kind of settle down and then use it. So then again, it really depends on what's your use case, how you want to release your versions and so on. And depending on the deployment frequency, you can go for a canary one. So a same thing around canary, but yeah, here we are doing the concept of A/B testing, where the same versions are running in parallel. You have control over the traffic distribution, but it's like you want version 1 to be available for, say, desktop users, version 2 to be available for mobile users. So in that case, you can go for an A/B kind of a thing, which is again a subset of or an extension of how canary works. Again, here you really require an intelligent load balancer, and it's sometimes difficult to kind of troubleshoot certain kind of errors if from like where exactly an issue is being caused. Infrastructure wise, you can easily solve, but if it's related to network, it's related to traffic, if it's related to a particular functionality, it's sometimes difficult to troubleshoot as well. Then comes the blue green deployment. Over here, the blue, I mean, the two versions of the application, you are doing a total switch, right? So both the versions are kind of, both are deployed alongside each other. Version 1 exists, version 2 is also made ready, but it's a total drift or a total shift of traffic from version 1 to 2, okay, in one go. So you can say on canary there were certain challenges, so blue green tries to solve them. That's blue green says that, okay, you keep all the environment ready and switch it when you think you are ready to kind of take the risk and kind of deploy it for your entire traffic. It is sometimes expensive because you need both the clusters up and running at the same point of time. Sometimes stateful applications where you need persistency in terms of databases, in case of like multi-tenant scenarios, it is sometimes difficult to manage this, and you need to have a very robust testing done of your upgraded version of the application in order to release it to your entire traffic. So there comes it comes with a risk as such, so you need to kind of be cautious on that as well. Now we're talking of the rainbow deployment. So again, here It's and again an extension of blue green, okay, where you are saving cost. So the whole difference out here, it's more of a design approach or an infra approach, okay. It's like you don't need to maintain versioning of the application, okay. The difference out here would be an instantaneous rollout and rollback, okay, because it can be done on the same cluster as well or different clusters as well. It's like very rarely used nowadays, but yes, that is one approach that is being followed, okay. And some of the workloads we are seeing that a rainbow deployment also kind of works out here. There is a very minor difference between rainbow and canary, and if for an end user, you really can't make out whether it's a rainbow or a canary unless it's a defined process when it comes to how your infrastructure is managed at this stage. So then comes the particular challenges when it comes to managing these kind of deployment mechanisms. So there are several deployment strategies. Now one important aspect to kind of take care over here is that how do you promote your code from one layer or one stage to the other, or from one environment, lower environments to the higher environment. You might need a sort of a review cycle, whether the application is healthy, whether all the functionality is met. You want to do some deployment on a dev environment, but the QA, you don't want to touch it. You want to kind of keep it running as is, but you want to test it on dev. So how do you kind of manage all this, especially in a GKE kind of environment or a Kubernetes kind of an environment? So there comes like Cloud Deploy, what it actually gives you. So it's basically, as I mentioned earlier, it's a CD component. So it's a service that is meant to solve the CD problem, which is the continuous deployment problem. What it allows you to build pipelines that can build, render, and deploy your jobs or your workloads. And also it can easily integrate with your existing tool sets, whether it is GitHub, GitLab, CICD, any of the existing CICD mechanisms, Argo CD or Spinnaker, anywhere. Now what exactly is Cloud Deploy giving you? So if you see, we'll see what's exactly it's like under the hood, and we'll see it in the demo, okay. So if you understand like cloud build, right, how it's actually working. So it's like kind of waiting for some change on your SCM, okay. The SCM kind of triggers the build happens, okay. uh, this build can be in the form of a container image. That image can get deployed, okay. It is obviously stored into some sort of repository. It can be a GCR or even a cloud storage as well, as you see in this service diagram, which is the actual service implementation for Cloud Deploy. And since Cloud Deploy is a native tool on GCP, you can integrate it with PubSub, so that if you want to lead to kind of say any kind of events. So after an image is built, you want to shoot out some alerts or notifications or messages. You want to add some operation suite related activity or any audit related activity. You want to log it somewhere and so on. Everything can be done with Cloud Deploy. So it's giving you a whole capability from an SRE perspective as well, and that's also important when it comes to a large scale enterprise deployment, specifically into a GKE world. Now yes, you are seeing one block over here called scaffold, okay. What it is actually doing over here is the fact that it heavily relies on scaffold. In fact, let me share one secret with you. It's under the hood. Cloud Deploy can be considered as a managed scaffold service. Yes, so what GCP has done is basically, see, any Kubernetes workload, scaffold allows you to kind of deploy the applications into multi-stage pipelines, okay, as well as give you the ability to kind of have approvals or reviews in that whole process. So if that is required, and Cloud Deploy is giving you very similar features, it's nothing but as good as having a managed scaffolding service. And that's exactly where what Cloud Deploy is actually helping you with. You don't have to worry. So you don't need to deploy scaffold somewhere. Cloud Deploy is actually already done that for you, and it's kind of readily available, okay. And you just have to configure your CI CD pipelines accordingly. Okay, so let us see how exactly this is working. So if I say from a process perspective, okay, the dev, or it can be even the infra or the DevOps guys, okay, they commit something onto your branches or your repo, okay, that is kind of pushed to your GitHub or any repo for that matter, okay, it can be GitLab as well, okay, or Bitbucket, anywhere. It leads to a trigger, okay, on GitHub, and it leads to a build as well, okay. So here you are seeing again cloud build coming into picture. The build is going to package this whole application into an image format like a container image, and it is pushing it to GCR. The GCR is kind of pushed back, or rather pulled from cloud deploy, and cloud deploy again comes to know from the SCM that a release is probably planned out here, and you need to kind of deploy it on GKE. Again, there can be gated approvals, so a release or a DevOps manager who is responsible to kind of push it to the higher environments, they will kind of approve it, deploy it, and then take it to the forward looking environments on GKE. So what do you exactly need to kind of do this deployment? Okay, let us see in the form of a demo. Okay, so let me kind of switch my screen to the you know main tab, okay, which is around. Okay, so I already have some clusters deployed because the cluster deployment might take a bit of a while. So I'm not, deploying clusters during this demo. Okay, what I will do is I'll show you, like, see, there are, I already had two environments running. Okay, so this is my dev environment. Okay, you can see here the hello world is in red color. Okay, and there is a QA environment where the hello world is in green color. Okay, now these are two separate versions of the application running deployed on the same GKE cluster, or rather these are different clusters, but yeah, one is for dev, one is for QA. I similarly have clusters for staging, prod, and so on, and we'll see like how we exactly do this deployment. Okay, so what I have done over here is the fact that if first thing what I need to do is cloud build. Okay, I need to link my repo, so I have like kind of semi automated this just for the purposes of the demo. So in cloud deploy, what I have done is like, this is a simple application which has a scaffold YAML file, okay, where I'm specifying the version, the build. So I just have to specify my project ID, which image, and where do I need to kind of specify the build pack. Okay, after that, the scaffold file is given. There is a cloud deploy file. Okay, now this file is important because I want to set up or instantiate or specify to cloud deploy that which are my target environments. Okay, so what am I so I gave a name to this, which is cloud deploy test. I gave some description to this, which is a cloud deploy demo delivery pipeline. Okay, and there are four stages typically, like dev, QA, staging, and production. Okay, now each of them is a separate cluster. So if you see here projects, this is my GCP project. Okay, I've specified which cluster it should be. Okay, so let me like kind of show it over here. Assuming my screen is visible, right? Yeah, okay, it is. Okay, let me open GKE where my clusters are running. Okay, so I had like cluster dev, cluster prod, QA, stage. Just ignore these ones. I was just testing it out for some other demo as well, trying to do it on the same ones. So assume that these are the four clusters which are running. Okay, now over here I had these specified. So the dev cluster, the prod cluster, QA cluster, and staging cluster. Now, one thing which you should pay attention to is the fact that I have specified require approval equals to true, or require approval, I have set it to true for all of the cases, which means that if I have to deploy on any of these clusters, any version of the application, whether it's a rollback or a fresh deployment, it will require approval. And who is going to approve and how it works, that is something which we'll see on the GCP console. so there again, Cloud Deploy will kind of help us to define and specify, how you kind of approve this. So our clusters are ready. I have kind of set up the trigger on Cloud Build. Okay, let me open the trigger. Okay, yes, so here is the trigger. It's just any push to this branch, right? I have specified any push to a branch. This is my repo. Okay, specifically master branch, and I have specified it using build packs. Why? Because I'm doing a scaffolding build over here, which is the image name that is specified over here, and I kind of have already set this trigger. Now if I go to dashboard, okay, and let us try to do some change to this application, right? So let's kind of you know templates. Okay, okay, let's change the dev environment to have this text, okay, in a blue color. Okay, so let me edit this right from here itself, just for simplicity and demo. Okay, I'll set it the index title to blue. Okay, committing this change. Okay, now when I make this commit, the build trigger, who is actually polling for any change on my repo, okay, it will start seeing that, okay, there is a new change which is happening on my repo, and it kind of matches. Yes, the latest commit is starting with fd7. That is exactly the commit out here. And let us see on this build, what is the status as such. So if you kind of click on that build number, you'll see that over here the build is being processed. The container image would get created, and it would also get pushed to a GCR repo, or a GCR itself. I'll since I have kind of semi-automated this, I will need to push this the image name into a specific file so that it can pick from there. So okay, where is that? Yeah, C deploy GitHub. Okay, so there is an artifact file. So yes, you see that the build is successful. The image was built. Okay, so this is the image name which I should be kind of referring to, starting with the it is actually having the commit ID. Okay, so I've copied this. Let me kind of push this into the artifact JSON file. So yeah. This could be like fully automated as well. So I was just trying to showcase this into a demo. So I have like kind of partially automated some of these steps, and but using scaffold you can actually completely automate this. So let me save this. Okay, now right now it is still not deployed. Okay, so if we see over here, if I just kind of reload this page, it is still not deployed. QA is still the same. This is the QA environment, this is the dev environment. Okay, now we are going to push this and deploy this. So when I say deploy this, okay, which means that I need to kind of deploy this as a release into the test environment, or the first environment would be the dev. Okay, so here I need to specify again which project, which region, which pipeline I need to kind of deploy. So the pipelines, as I was showing, the pipelines already exist out here. So we had created these pipelines. Let this load. Okay, so the cloud deploy test is the pipeline. Okay, and how did it get created is basis on the fact that we had this uh, cloud build or the cloud deploy YAML file, right? It has all the serial pipeline stages, which is dev, QA, stage, prod. If I go here, there is dev, QA, stage, and prod. Okay, so I still haven't deployed anything to staging and production. We can try that out on the demo itself. Okay, so now I want to first deploy it on the test release branch. Okay, so uh, let us specify where the build artifact is. So I've specified into the artifact.json file. Again, this can be directly picked from scaffold, but I kind of manually did this. So it is asking an authorization. So let us try to approve this. Yes, So it is like kind of now waiting. It has pulled the image and it is like kind of creating a release. So over here, if you see on the console itself, okay, so you will see that this is the release that is happening, okay, and it will start the release process. However, you will see that since we had specified whether an approval is required, okay, so this stage over here that you're seeing is a prerequisite to deploy it into dev, which means that in a while or so you will see that there will be a review pop up or a review message that comes over here, and then you will have to manually go ahead and approve this. So let me refresh this page and see if it is kind of in pipeline. It's queued. Yeah, so here you see it is queued for dev, okay, which means that now it is like kind of waiting to be deployed, okay. So let us see, and also let me show that, okay, see this status, it shows that it needs approval, and the current approval status is that it is pending, which means I haven't yet approved, but it still needs an approval. So let us go back to our pipeline and see. Okay, so here you see earlier it was something like 0 pending, okay, for the dev as well. Now it is showing 1 pending, which means that any deployment manager or a release manager, if they are looking at the pipelines, they'll see that a deployment is pending. Let's review it. Okay, so you can specify like, okay, which deployment it is, which release it is. Obviously you, when you are in a deployment mode, you will come to know which is your release tag, or which is your release cycle. Okay, so now I say that, okay, this is the difference, or you can also see like what is the manifest difference out here. So what's exactly the difference here? It's basically also showing you like which environment it is getting change, which is the image that is going to be used. So that also is a confirmation that you can do, and then you can go ahead and approve this or reject this. So obviously for the purpose of demo, we are approving this. Okay, so while it gets approved, okay, and you see that over here dev, it just became blue out here. It is because it is in progress and it is getting deployed to dev. You can meanwhile also view the logs out here, and you can see like where exactly it is getting built. So there is a deployment log also over here, which you can see. Yeah, while it is loading, the build was successful. Now it is the deployment logs that you would see. So let us go back to our pipelines itself. And you will see that it might be deployed also. So let us see whether it did get deployed. Yeah, it is. It just takes a bit of a while. Okay, meanwhile let's try and refresh the page. Yeah, okay, it is blue, which means it has deployed. Okay, so here it might just take a bit of a while to reflect on our console, but you see that on the dev environment, okay, the GKE dev environment which was there, it did reflect the change. Now on QA, let us see it is whether it is the same, or did the dev version come in. So no, the dev version has not come in because we haven't yet promoted the whole build. Okay, so once this is complete, now you see this, it is kind of deployed. Now let's move this from dev to QA. Okay, so doing it is like as simple as, clicking the promote button out here. Okay, and you just kind of click on promote. The rollout names will actually come automatically. You can just click on promote out here. Okay, so here again, it will ask for a review stage because as I told earlier, we had set review or require approval for each stage. We click on this, approve this, because we know that on dev, it is the app with the blue text that I want to deploy, and it is all healthy to be deployed as well. So now it will start deploying it into QA. Okay, so now this is dev, it is still in blue. QA, it is still green. We'll start to see it in a short while, okay, while it is being deployed. Okay, and likewise we can do from a QA to stage to prod, and so on. And you can easily understand now that these stages, okay, between dev to QA to stage, your dev can be like, you can have all your development happening over here. There can be multiple branches also that you can use, and that way you can have uh, multiple versions of your application as well. Okay, so you see this QA also got deployed with the same environment as, or the same version of the application as dev had. Okay, now dev and QA are both in sync. Now suppose you found out an issue, okay, and you feel that I need to kind of roll back dev to a previous stage. Okay, so it is now you don't need any command line as such, and you can easily do it within your pipeline itself. So if someone has used something like any of the other popular DevOps tools, you can easily do a rollback over here. So here you just kind of click on these three buttons, you do a rollback release. Okay, it can ask like which release you want to specify. So let's kind of roll back to a previous state, which is, say for example, this one, which was my earlier one, to the with the green text or something like that. So I'll roll back. Now again, if you see, while rolling back also, okay, it is not going to do a direct rollback. Okay, it will expect an approval, because obviously it has to authorize, right? You cannot just keep on doing rollbacks, okay, without understanding why it is required. So an approval would always be required, because that is also how you have set your process. So it's not just about maintaining your infrastructure, you are also setting your process out here in terms of how your deployment will work. Okay, just by configuring that into your cloud deploy YAML files or the configuration files. So now you see that dev is again getting rolled back. Okay, this is the latest version that it will roll back to. And let's see if dev kind of went back to a previous state. This is our QA. So QA is still blue, which means no effect. Let's click on dev. Okay, dev went back to the previous state of red. Okay, which means that the rollback was also successful. It might just take a bit of a while to kind of reflect out here. And this way, like, you can kind of manage your deployment pipelines, using cloud build. So it's like multi-cluster environment, your scaling gets taken care of. You just manage your releases in this manner, and that's how it kind of actually works. So yeah, that's more about the environment. Okay, and the demo, that's what I had to share. Happy to take any questions, comments, feedback. We can always discuss about how a particular thing is working on cloud deploy. Let me know if there are any questions.
Thank you, Dharmesh. Thank you for the demo. Very interesting.
Yeah.
There is two questions. The first
Yeah.
one by Luis. What is the difference between the rainbow deployment and the recreate deployment?
Okay, so Luis, basically, Rainbow is more like an extension of the canary deployment, where you are kind of doing, both the versions are running in parallel. So you need two clusters running at any given point of time, whereas recreate is nothing but you kind of taking one cluster down and recreating another cluster. So at any given point of time, only one cluster is running, whereas in Rainbow it can be a multi-cluster deployment.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thierry has a question. How
Yeah.
the review is announced to the approver?
Yeah.
Can we choose any communication channel?
Right. So great question, Thierry. So in fact, this is what will come up in one of my next demos. I'm still working on that. So if you see my slides, it had an integration with PubSub. Okay, where you can configure certain notifications as well. So that is something that you can choose via PubSub to kind of initiate a notification or an alert as such. I haven't tried that, but yes, that is something which is something in like a work in progress. Directly natively on cloud deploy, you cannot do a notification. I mean, natively it's not available on Cloud Deploy, but yes, via PubSub it has the integration. You can announce certain things over there.
Yeah, it will be
Yeah,
very a useful a
yeah,
useful use case to be
correct.
notified. I don't know, in Slack or something like that, that
Of
there is
course.
a review to do.
Yeah.
Okay, there is a question from Ajalawi. What is A/B testing?
Okay. Well, A/B testing is basically you want to say, for example, I'll give you a use case. Okay. So consider there is a web application. Okay. And you have tried to deploy a new, say, a theme in your website. Okay. But you don't want to launch that theme, whether it's a dark mode or a light mode, to all your users, because you still don't know whether the users are going to like that, not like that, or what is going to be the performance impact of the same on your servers. Okay, so with that you want to roll out this feature to only a small subset of your entire traffic, or sorry, of your entire users. Okay, and you kind of do an A/B testing. So A is basically, you can say that it's like one version of your application running which is serving the primary traffic. B is another version of your application which is solving, or which is serving only 5 or 10% of your traffic, because you want to test out certain functionality but in production. So that's one difference. So in AB, although we call it AB testing, but it's generally happening in production. You might see it with any given applications as well, like Twitter, Facebook, anyone. They kind of roll out some features to only a small set of users. That's, they are doing some sort of an AB testing over there.
Thank you for the answer.
Yeah.
And yeah, there is something about Christian, but I don't know. I don't have the context. I think it was when you were talking about
Okay. Hmm.
the rainbow and recreate deployment.
Yeah.
And Ajlawi say is answering how we can prohibit rollback in stage prod environments. I think
Uh,
it's more with the review process, perhaps. Or
yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's going to be more of a gated approval, you can say, if you don't want rollbacks to happen into stage or production. Well, I mean, it's always good to have a possibility to roll back, but then it's kind of always necessary to have some sort of a review stage as well, so that there are no accidental rollbacks as such.
thank you.
Yeah.
And like question from Christian, which is very interesting. Is there a
Yeah.
support for feature flags in Google Cloud?
Okay. So by feature flags, I think you are referring to some other popular DevOps products. They have that kind of a feature. I mean, technically, I don't see it directly as a feature on GCP. But yes, I mean, it's mainly the tagging that you can do on your build environments, that kind of serves the same purpose, but not technically the same feature that you have on other environments or other clouds.
Yes,
Yeah.
and just to complete the answer of Dharmesh, if I
Hmm.
may, there
Yeah,
is some
sure.
support of feature flags with the remote configuration, for example, in Firebase,
Hmm.
a specific product more for
Yeah.
front-end interface use case.
Correct.
So yeah, you can find some kind of feature flags, but more for the front-end part, so
Yes.
mobile or web with Firebase, for example. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Damesh. Thank
Okay.
you for being there. I think we
Sure.
are all set up, and
Okay.
yeah, I can say have a good. I don't know. We'll say have a good night for you, Damesh.
Yeah, it's almost night. It's 11:30. So yeah, it
Okay.
will be very soon end of day for me.
Okay. And if you
Okay.
can share the slides, because at the beginning the slides were a little small. So if you
Yeah,
have the
sure.
slide, and you can share it to me, and I will give it to the community.
Sure. I'll share it across to you, as well as I'll post it on my blog as well. Anyone can refer from there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Do not hesitate
Okay.
to post the link of your blog directly in the chat
Yeah,
if you want.
I'll post it on my chat. In fact, like, people can follow me on Twitter at
Yeah.
drvaya. as well as you can just search me on LinkedIn with my first name and last name. I'll be available and happy to connect with some folks, or also get into some like-minded discussions as well. Thank you.
Thanks. Have
Yeah.
a nice evening. Have a good
Okay.
night, and
Sure.
see you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you, everyone. Thanks, Julian, again, to Cloud Nantes and Abidjan. Thanks, everyone, for attending. Bye.
Bye bye.